Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to WEX 2020 and its theme, Delivering Smart Circular Solutions for a Sustainable World. Unfortunately, I'm going to open up a little bit with something that is probably very important to all of us, and we need to at least take heed of the issues related to coronavirus. From my own point of view, I respect the advice of the British government, and the fact is that everyone is being advised it's business as usual until people tell you otherwise. So for me, today, it's business as usual. But maybe there's some interesting and useful tips in terms of people saying it's as well to greet people with a smile as opposed to a handshake. I've made that mistake several times in the last day, but probably better just to smile to people, no handshakes, regular washing of hands, and there are hand sanitizers sprinkled around the place, so please take heed of that and respect your colleagues here at WEX. Enough said on that. For the people who have attended WEX previously, you will know what to expect and how to make the most of the opportunities that will present themselves here, the ideas, the thoughts of your colleagues, the debates that you can have. All will make the day and today and tomorrow, I think, very beneficial for all of us. For those who have not attended before, the WEX format provides an excellent mix of structured one-to-one business meetings, positioned alongside some excellent panels and some very, very good speakers. The highlight of the 2 days for me will be this evening, I'm out of date already, this evening with the gala dinner and the awards, and also the opportunity at this event to actually pick up some of those awards. So great in that respect. There's something for everyone here. Importantly for everyone, the full participation is required. Everyone should fully commit and not to be late, attend the scheduled meetings, don't leave people stranded, sitting at a desk waiting for the partner to come and have a discussion with on a business topic. But keeping all of that in mind, I just hope that everyone at this event has a very successful 2 days here at WEX. So I don't want to say any more. We have some excellent speakers to come and more important people than me now to say some words. And first, I would like to call on Jaime Barba Sevillano. He's the CEO of Idrica. If Jaime would step up on stage and open up with his welcome to everyone. Thank you, Jaime.
Okay. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jaime Barba, CEO at Idrica. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the 14th edition of WEX Global Edition in my hometown. Good morning to the heroes of coronavirus. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being brave to come here, because you know that those days has been difficult for that. Okay, let me start by thanking Councillor Carolina and Enrique Cabrera for the commitment to this event and for the work that they are going to dedicate it to us. I'm the CEO at Idrica. It's the private utility company that heads the international cycle of water contracts of Aguas de Valencia, whose different offers are related to the deployment of Coagua, the water management solution born within Aguas de Valencia 12 years ago. We have the best practices and technology, 130 years of experience within the group, and the agile structure of international team. Okay. We work within Europe, Africa, the Middle East, Latin and North America, and we have our headquarters here in Valencia. Last year was our first year at WEX. I must confess that it was one of the most useful events that we have ever attended. Currently, events are fashionable. We could spend all day, every day, attending them and doing little else, you know that. But this is one special. This allows us to connect with the decision makers in the organizations. It is intense and interesting, and Mark and his team are guilty of being this. So we talked about proposing Valencia to host this year. Thank you, Mark, for accepting the proposal. This event is about circular economy and about smart solutions, and in one conference stream we will be examining the impact of digitalization on the water and energy. Digital is about technology, but transformation is about people, as all you here already know. It affects the entire organization and its processes. All of us are conscious that the digital transformation is going to break into all the utilities. It is an adoptable fact, so the question is, what is the best way to do it? How should we finance it? The sector is used to making large investment in infrastructure and extensive engineering works. But what about the investment in hardware and software and the investment in inefficiencies to change the mindset of an organization? It is extremely important that we do not forget that the digitalization, digitalizing a company is not only for those which have favorable infrastructures. I firmly believe that technology can help those places which lack infrastructure, assigning the workforce, monitoring the infrastructures, reducing the consumed energy, or reducing the non-revenue water. So all the digitalizing solutions have a clear business case over numbers of years. But isn't the main business case the environmental one? Are not smart solutions contributing to a circular economy, protecting the pureness of cycle of water? The other equally important stream looks at the leading role of water and energy in transition of circular economy models. Utilities are obligated to prepare environmental awareness campaigns, to alert citizens to incorrect behavior with water, to alert them of leaks inside the households, to increase the efficiency of networks, to spend minimum energy producing the water, to make plans to reuse the water, to cogenerate, to obtain bioenergy, biogas, to alert of spills, to prepare resiliency plans for environmental catastrophes, to optimize irrigation resources. Water is at the center of environmental and circular economy politics, but it is not alone. I am convinced that the collaboration with research institutes, with governments, administrations, universities, with other utilities, with different supply companies, energy or gas utilities, even gardens and vegetation companies, farmers, ranchers. This is the only way to maintain sustainable future. What if we deploy cases of use, for example, in the industry or in the city? The next generation will have smart cities and connected industries. It is going to be mandatory, the same as the digital transformation in water. Industries and cities need to optimize energy, such as traffic lights, refuse collection, space, such as parking, water, raw materials, such as mobility, industry production. And just one secret for all these things. The technology for making that and the best practices in order to do it is the same for all these challenges. Let's talk with all the other sectors. Let's join our projects and let's benefit from that. We have connected the water, the energy, the smart cities, and the industry via our innovation hub, Go Hub, here in Valencia. I can assure you that it is rather difficult to join all those sectors in a different circular case of use, but it is just a question of willingness. I am very much hope that over the next 2 days, not only we will highlight the links between the digital and the circular, but also create partnerships with, which will facilitate the delivery of many of these projects. Have fun on those journeys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jaime. Fascinating. I was at the first WEX, I think that was back in 2005, and the subject matter at that time was nowhere near as interesting as Jaime has just outlined now, which shows the difference in a short space of time, maybe just 15 years, the range and the changes in the sector and the things and the technologies that are available to us today. Can I now call on Enrique Cabrera, who is Vice President of the International Water Association.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to start by thanking WEX obviously for the invitation to be here. It is a pleasure for me to be here because I'm based in Valencia, so the fact that we have such a great event taking place here in my hometown, I think it's as I said, an honor and a pleasure. I think that the topic that we just heard from Jaime, digitalization and the transition to the circular economy, is a key issue right now. I bet it's quite difficult to find an event that is actually not focusing on those topics right now, as I think that this is very important. I would definitely like to talk to you about digitalization, but I'm thinking a little bit I'm preaching to the choir here. I think that most of you sitting in the room have either already started embracing smart technologies, or you're about to do so. But I think it is also a good time to reflect a little bit on those people in the sector that have probably not reached that state yet. And I think that we have some responsibility in that aspect to make sure that digitalization is not just seen as another fad, another fashionable thing to do. We have to make sure that we're not just scratching the surface with the thinking of software apps or just smart gadgets. We have to let people understand what is the real potential of digitalization and smart technologies. And in that respect, I think that it is an opportunity, all this digitalization of the water sector, to start a revolution in the way we manage the business. If I have to speak about circular economy and the digital world, I think it's quite clear for most of you, Jaime was already mentioning this, that it is an opportunity to waste less water, to waste less energy, to use all resources actually more wisely. If we think about wasting less water, I'm sure that we are on the path to better manage our assets and so reduce the leaks that we have in our networks. Actually, we can better now detect leakage in real time, so that's also an opportunity for us to react more quickly. We have a better management also we will have of commercial losses, which is financial, but also probably have the opportunity to detect fraud more easily. And actually that comes from a better understanding, a real-time understanding of the water balance. If I think about energy, I think that we can now be more proactive in the way that we operate the pumps and the networks themselves. We have a wider array of energy recovery options, and not just those recovery options, but actually how to use them in a more efficient way. I think there's an opportunity in the future to also think about redesigning the networks, because we will be able to be more looking forward in terms we manage our assets. So changing the right assets at the right time, we can also be more strategic on how to optimize the network layout. If I think about resources, I think that obviously, as was mentioned here, we can recover energy from used water. We can combine also water sources in a much more efficient way and make use at every time in a very dynamic way of surface water, groundwater, reused, grey water, rainwater, all the different options. I think that we can start considering this like a mix of resources, just very much like the energy sector uses an energy mix and is able to actually be more proactive at this. We can also understand and optimize the needs of energy use in real time, and that gives us the opportunity to react. And at the same time, I think that also in the use of resources, we will be able to make a better use of the materials we use in our business, thinking about pipe materials and also the plants. However, these are only tools. We had a lovely match of golf yesterday, and in Spain there's a saying that it's not just so much about the bow, but the archer that counts. And I think that, we have a great set of bows here, but I think that the real change in our sector through smart technologies and digitalization will come from at least three things. We still need and will need sound technical knowledge and capable professionals. I think that one big mistake would be to think that technologies will actually be a replacement for good water professionals. No amount of digitalization will fix a poor network design that we start with and needs to be changed, or the wrong choice of a treatment technology. So in that respect, we need capable professionals that can get the most out of these tools. The second, I think, big step is we need to tackle things with a systems concept. Many of these technologies that are actually coming to us from outside the water sector often find themselves in small silos that are not connected to each other. This is something we need to avoid. I think that one of the greatest advantages of digitalization is integration. And we are able to bring all the different parts of the business. There's only one network, and we should treat it as such. I think that in the last 20 years, we've seen the the silos appear in the utilities, or they were always there, but we haven't been able to cross those lines. And I think that we have now a great opportunity to actually consider the system as a whole. So when we have a failure prediction model, which actually is pointing at 30 meters of pipe that need to be replaced, we have the opportunity to think, well, how does this sit with the rest of the pipe on that street? What is the real needs of the municipality in terms of the asphalt on top of those pipes? How is this going to affect the future network layout that I have in my strategic planning? And you know, to be able to be more sustainable in the future. So again, a systems concept. And finally, I think, and this is for me the most important, that we have the opportunity to change the way in we manage the business, in the way utilities are managed. This is a very slow-moving sector. Traditional utilities have been here for 150 years. I'm sure they will be here for 150 more. We do not change the way we do things very often. And I think that right now some of these tools can really help us to change, and in some way change the paradigm of the things, how we do things. And I think that this is important because otherwise there will just be tools sitting there with the limited power of change. Of course, I think that this is so important that in my own organization, in the International Water Association, we have really taken a deep focus in digital water. We have a digital water program. And I think that in that way, our role there will be to try to fill the gap between the R&D and technology providers and the water utilities and the water users all around. And not just the gap, which is almost non-existent, with some of the leaders out there sitting in this room, but also to the smaller utilities and to utilities sitting in countries which are not so rich. In order to do that, we have a digital water program with a digital water steering committee, which is chaired by Dragan Savic. I'm sure that you'll be able to hear from Dragan later today. This committee is really working hard to develop white papers, webinars, information that you may find out there. We are actually also starting a series of events, Digital Water Summit. Next one will take place in Bilbao next month, coronavirus permitting. And as I said, our intention right now, I think that our focus as IWA is to bring digital not just to the big players out there or here, but also to the small and not so rich, to maintain all the sector actors in discussion. So it's not just about utilities and providers, but we must not forget consultants, we must not forget academia. I think this is the whole sector that needs to be involved. And finally, most importantly, reconcile the new tools with the deep water sector knowledge of our professionals. We shouldn't leave anyone behind. We shouldn't leave that there's a line between the new digital world and the old water world, because it's the same world. And that should allow us to enable the digital revolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enrique. And I think what you've done is clearly demonstrate that the water and energy sectors are probably the best sectors available to us to demonstrate the benefits of digitisation and what can be developed from that. Thank you very much. Could I now introduce our keynote speaker, the Honourable Carolina Pascual. She's Councillor in Valencia of Innovation, Universities, Science and Digital Society. Thank you, Carolina.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank WEX Global for choosing Valencia as the venue for such an important Congress, and I would like to extend to you my warmest welcome to this gorgeous city. Ladies and gentlemen, in order for our global system of production to change rapidly, we must share the most effective strategies for a circular economy and make them available to all, whether we are talking about water, energy, or other sectors. This is why holding this Congress here in a region which is among the most vulnerable to climate change and has limited water resources, is a great opportunity. An opportunity to start an important conversation that has been pending for some time. The question is, what strategies should we adopt to start changing the current economic and productive model towards a more sustainable one? These days will facilitate exchanges of ideas, visions, success stories, solutions, and methodologies. We will address critical uses related to smart circular solutions for a world that will be more sustainable, more respectful of the planet, more inclusive, and more equal. Because in order to change our economic model, first, we need a political, social, and cultural change. We need to think and share our ideas and approaches as we are doing today at this Congress. And then we need to act and think and act fast because we don't have much time left. Because the current model for value creation in our current economy generates an unsustainable amount of CO2 and residues. In Europe, recycled materials and energy recovery recover only 5% of the original value of the raw materials. A typical family car spends 92% of its time parked. 41% of food is discarded along the value chain. Increased energy price volatility, supply risk, and natural resource depletion will hamper economic growth by increasing uncertainty and discourage investment. To this, we must add the loss of biodiversity, land degradation, our water footprint, and ocean pollution. The cumulative impact of negative environmental consequences related to the current linear production model is the great challenge for the creation of wealth in the long term. We need to change our thinking from a throwaway production model to one of reducing, reusing, and recycling. We all need to react. Public offices, universities, private companies, and citizens. We all have an important part to play in the paradigm shift we need to save our planet. The ship's course can only be straightened out with a change in the rudder's direction. It's not that the circular economy can become a good economic model, it is that there is no other option. And we cannot leave anyone behind this process. It is not a question of closing a factory and laying off employees to implement a model based on the circular economy. Nor can we leave out for the most vulnerable sector citizens with low incomes at the edge of the socio-economic system. Workers in sectors that are likely to disappear or undergo radical changes. We must combat climate change without denial. We must design a fair energy transition that does not leave victims as has happened in previous industrial reconversions. We must do things in an orderly manner, rationally and humanly. Additionally, if the circular economy is adopted, the growth forecasts are very positive. According to one of these models, growth within a circular economy vision for a competitive Europe 2019, developed by Helen MacArthur Foundation, this is what would happen if we adopt models of circular economy today. By 2030, we will reduce CO2 emissions by 48%, and the European GDP would increase by 11%. By 2050, the increase in CO2 emissions will reach 83%, and the increase in GDP will reach 27%. If we do nothing, improvements by 2030 and 2050 will settle at 4% and 12% respectively. In the Valencian community, we are especially conscious of these challenges and are especially concerned. We live in the epicenter of the Mediterranean, one of the areas most threatened by climate change. We have a historic water deficit. Therefore, our commitment to a restorative and regenerative economy is not just an intention, it's not just words. It is a necessity, and we need action. Innovation, technology, and artificial intelligence also offer us a favorable and unprecedented combination to make the transition to a circular economy possible. The result of the Valencian government's firm commitment in this area is the recent creation of the Department of Innovation, of which I am the head. We already have an artificial intelligence strategy for the Valencian community within the framework of the future law for a digital society. We will be the headquarters of one of the laboratories of excellence of the ELIS network for the European implementation of artificial intelligence. We have created the Valencian Agency of Innovation, which has grown in scientific units, collaborative projects of circular economy and centers of advanced technology transfer. We have just signed a protocol in Helsinki to set up an incubation center specialized in climate change in the Valencian community, associated with the European Space Agency. We have drawn up the Valencian Energy Strategy 2030, one of the pillars of which is the water strategy and its impact. We have companies working in the circular economy, such as Global Omnium, which we visited yesterday and which is one of the leading international firms in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now finish. The fight for equality and education made economic progress and human development possible in the 20th century. Now, in addition to that just a struggle, we must add the environmental culture that will make it possible to save this planet for future generations. All of us must be part of that fight. And we must do so out of necessity, but also out of conviction. Because the time has come to act. Because we are risking the health and survival of the planet and of the generations that will come after us. And they are not abstract entities. They are our sons and daughters or grandchildren. We live in uncertain times from an environmental point of view, and the time to act is now. Not only to talk about a green future for the planet, for our community, but to build it together. Thank you very much. Enjoy this Congress and our beautiful and hospitable city.
Thank you, Carolina, for demonstrating that Valencia is playing a leading and important role in encouraging change in the way in which we lead our lives, obviously taking its role very seriously. Could I now say that we are going to move into the presentations. The next session in here, I think, is the Leaders Forum, due at 10, sorry, due at 9:30, no, it's not the Leaders Forum, it's the Conference Session 1, where engineering meets scientific discovery. That's at 9:45. Could I also just make one point which Mark has asked me to say? There are no conventional coffee breaks. Please find coffee outside. Take coffee when you like, but don't let that disturb the way in which these sessions are operated and run. Thank you very much, and everyone, please enjoy WEX.